Hey guys, what is up? My name is Exteria, and this is how to play your openers in set 13. In this video, I'm going to teach you guys how to play your strongest early game boards, because I know most of us don't know how to play openers yet, since the set just came out. Before I show you the units, let me explain to you real quick on how you could define if you want to play an AD or AP opener, and all these items you see on screen are the strongest early games items you can start with. If you don't know what items to build on certain units, you can check out my itemization video in my description down below. If you have a sword drop, you mostly play the AD direction, but you can also play AP too. So for the AD range unit, such as like Draven or Maddie, IE or Deathblade are good to go to start with. For AD melee units, such as like Trundle or Darius, Bloodthirster or Starax are the way to go. If you want to play the AP direction, for AP range, you get a tier, you make it Spear Soldier, you can throw that on Zyra, you can throw it on Lux. And then for the AP melee, it's mostly like Akali, and you just build Bloodthirster on her. That's like the only sword items you can build for AP side. And then most of you might be saying, why not just build Giant Slayer? Giant Slayer is not good early game because you don't have a lot of HP in the early game, so you're just wasting components. If you start with a Rod component, for AD range, you just build a Ginsu's Rage Blade. And then for AD melees, there isn't really an item you can build on them. And then for the AP side, for AP range, you can build Archangel Staff, Death Cap, or Jewel Gauntlet. These three items are very powerful in the early game, but you kind of need to back it up with a Spear Soldier. And then for the AP melee unit, Crown Guard is very powerful. Same with Onyx Spark. You also get like a magic shred on the board where it like lowers down the magic resist, so your AP units can do more damage. And then Death Cap or even Jewel Gauntlet is fine on them. And then for one of the most important components in the game, we got Bow. For Bow AD side, we can make Last Whisper, Ginsu's Rage Blade, Red Buff, and Runa's Hurricane. For AD melee, we can just build a Titans. The thing to note about the AD range side, having Ginsu's Rage Blade makes you win streak very hard, so if you're gonna force this item, you win a lot more having this item. And then for the AP range side, having a Nashor's Tooth, a Static Shift to debuff the board, and Red Buff is fine on them. And then for AP melee, a Titans or even Nashor's Tooth is good. The reason why I said Bow is very important component in the game is because you can build two debuff items. So if you're playing AD, you can build a Last Whisper, which reduces armor, so it makes your AD units do more damage. And then for the AP side, you're able to build Static Shift, where it reduces almost every unit on the board magic resist, so your AP does even more damage. So that's the reason why I said Bow is the most important component. Now since I told you guys about items, or if you guys already know about itemization for early game, I'm gonna show you guys what are the strongest openers to play. To start off with, I'm gonna say the easiest opener, which is the two brothers, Darius and Draven. These two are very powerful together because you get Conquer. And what Conquer is, it's basically where if you win streak, you gain a lot of econ back, or if you kill enough units, you gain a lot of money along the way. These two are really good openers to start with, and the items you want to start with would be Ginsu's Rage Blade on Draven. This will help you win streak right away, or if you want to do Last Whisper, either one is fine, or both is good together. And then you need some sort of damage item to back it up with, so it could be like IE or Deathblade. And then for Darius items, you can do like a Bloodthirster, or even a Starax is good on him. And then since Darius is the only frontline right now, you need some sort of Washer unit, so another good one would be like a Moo. You could throw like tank items on him, such as like Warmongs or whatever. Or if you want to play a comp that synergizes these two units really well, it would be with Family, because you throw out Vander, you get Watcher. And if you throw out Violet, you also get a Pit Fighter for Draven. And then you throw out Powder a level 5-ish for Family. So the Family units are tankier. Theirs is somewhat tanky, and Vander is super tanky. So since Vander is going to be your main tank, you just put your tank items on him. And then depending which one you level 2 first, between Violet or Darius, you can put the items on either or. If you have AP items, you can put it on Powder instead, like Spear Soldier and either or Death Cap, whatever AP items you have. So this opener is actually very strong because you have a lot of different things you can do with them. Either one could be the main carry, but essentially the main tank is just Vander. The next opener we can do is Enforcer, and this comp consists of having a main DPS Maddie with our main tank Steb. So for our items, if we want to build, you can do Spear Soldier and Maddie is pretty decent, but I would prefer to have against his Rage Blade on her. And then same items like Draven, which is like Last Whisper and IE, so you can win hard with her. Either one or either items you have is fine. Spear Soldier is also a good start. And our main tank Steb, you just throw in like whatever basic tank items you have on him. To fill up the rest of his energies, we can also do Trundle, which gives us Bruiser, and he could be our Vi item holder, so you just put Bloodthirster or whatever melee items you put on him. And then we need another sniper to make Maddie do extra damage, so a unit like Zeri is fine. And then over time, you just throw in the Enforcer units, so you can throw in like Camille at level 5, and then level 6 you throw in like a Loris. This will give us 4 Enforcer, so it makes our comp even stronger. And you can transfer the Bloodthirster into Camille instead, because she's just a better unit. And then if you have a Loris 2 fast enough, you can just transfer the tank items to Loris from Steb, and then just take out Trundle and throw in another Sentinel unit like Leona is fine, so you can have extra tank on the board, because Sentinel is a stronger tank than it is with Bruiser. So you can have an early Sentinel. It's better to have than Bruiser, I would say. But don't do this if you don't have enough level 2s. Because if you do this with a Loris 1 or even a Leona 1, you're just going to be too underpowered. So it's better to stick with the Bruisers if they're level 2 instead of using level 1 Sentinels. You just die quicker. So if you're lucky enough to get a Loris 2 or even a Leona 2, you can do this. Or even other Sentinels level 2 such as like Aurelia or even Singe is okay. It's just as long as you have enough levels on the board, you should be able to win streak with this. And then over time, you just play your Enforcer board if you want to play the Enforcer route. Another Enforcer opener you can do is if you get a TF drop, you can do TF with Step, and good combination with this would be Rebel because Set is also a bruiser, and if you can find them Akali, you get Quick Striker, so you can do extra damage with TF, and then you can just throw in a random +1 Rebel unit such as Aurelia because when you hit level 6, you can just throw in a Sentinel like either Singe or even a Leona. So this board is very strong because you have a lot of frontline potential and you have decent damage. So the main items you want to put on TF would be like either Spirit Soldier with like AP items like Death Cap, Jewel Gauntlet, whatever. Or you can even throw against his Rage Blade on him. If you want to win streak early, is a good item to slam on him too. So this opener is very strong and you can force either AP route or even like full Enforcer route. And speaking of Rebel earlier, we can also do a Rebel route. And this route is actually pretty decent. Personally, I don't like Vex, but it consists of having Vex as the main carry. And the items you want to put on her would be like Spirit Soldier and whatever AP items you can find. Our main tank is going to be Aurelia. So basically any like strong tank items, just put on her, and you throw in a +1 such as either Set or even an Akali. I would prefer Akali right now since, you know, AP units. And then since our Aurelia is a Sentinel, in order to give us extra tank, a good one would be Rel, and Rel also is Visionary. So this is a very good opener because we get a lot of stuff here. And then over time, you can throw in even more Sentinels or even more Rebels. But if you want to play for a flexible route, you can just throw in more Sentinels like Singe, Leona, you get 4 Sentinel, and then maybe you can win streak with this. Most likely you won't be able to since Vex is not too strong, right? But over time, it's just up to you to decide on what you want to pivot into. This is just an idea of a good opener of Rebel, which is this. And then if you want to play 5 Rebel, you can, because you just throw in Set and then throw in Ezreal, and then you have 5 Rebel here. This is fine too. And then next up we got is our Sorcerer opener, and this is actually one of my favorites because I like to pivot into LeBlanc every game. So essentially is having Lux as the main carry with Spirit Soldier and then Zyra as a second DPS. Depending on the meta, it could be either Lux or Zyra as the main carry. But as of right now, it's Lux. And then hopefully you can find a Vlad. So you have 3 Sorcerer here, and then you just throw in a Mumu or whatever Washer you can. A Mumu would be better though. So you have 2 Washer and then 3 Sorcerers. At level 5, then you just throw in 1 more Sorcerer, which would be Nami. So essentially the frontline is kinda lackluster, but at least you're able to almost one-shot a lot of things because of 4 Sorcerer. And this is pretty quick and pretty simple to explain. Next up we got is Black Rose opener, and this kind of pivots more into a Sorcerer afterwards, but in order to play Black Rose, you need either an Emblem or Cassiopeia drop. Cassiopeia won't be your main carry because she's not going to be level 2, and I feel like she's not strong enough level 1 as of right now. But if you want to, you can put a Spirit Soldier on her, and then the rest of the units would be Morgana and Vladimir. If you do get the start, you get Sion and you just win streak instantly. But most of the time, I would say is a Morgana carry, so you put Spirit Soldier on her, and then you just throw in a +1 Visionary, which is most of the time is probably going to be Renata, because it gives you shields for your front line. Then you just throw in a +1 Watcher for Vladimir at level 5, and then you pivot into Sorcerers later because it's just a stronger route to do. Before I show you how to pivot into Sorcerers, I'm just going to explain for Cassiopeia, if she is the carry, then you could just use instead of Renata. You can do Ziggs for Dominator, so Cassiopeia do extra damage. And then at level 6, you could throw in like a Nami, so you can get Emissary, because every time you auto attack, you gain bonus mana. That's what her Emissary does. So this is pretty good, and you also get Sorcerers for Vladimir. And I'm gonna briefly show about pivoting into Sorgs. So basically, when you hit level 8, we can have 2 more slots. So we have Zoe as the main carry. It lets you get lucky and find LeBlanc. You can use LeBlanc instead, but most of the time it's going to be a Zoe carry because, you know, LeBlanc is a 5 cost, so I don't know if you can hit at level 8. And then just trade out the whatever unit this was, like either Ziggs or even the Visionary unit like Renata. Just throw in +1 Sorc, such as Lux is fine, and then you trade out a Mumu for Swain, and this is 7 units. And I would prefer to have 6 Sorc over having 4 Black Rose because it's a lot stronger in the long run. So throwing in Zyra is fine. So you have 6 Sorc. So that means you either take out Cassiopeia or Morgana. Just take out one of them. I would say probably Morgana and just throw out Elise. So you can have 2 Form Swapper for Swain and then you get 6 Sorcs. So this is actually a really strong comp. This is what I play all the time in PvE. And for those that's wondering, Swain is going to be your main tank because he's OP. And this one's actually really easy. You can play Tristana reroll with this if you want to, but essentially if you get Tristana drop or start with her, and her main items would be like, you know, the Rage Blade, Last Whisper, i.e. just the basic route, or instead of Rage Blade you can do Spirit Soldier. Either one works, but I prefer the Spirit Soldier. Most people like can choose Rage Blade instead because of Artilleryist, and we need that +1 artillers, which is Urgot. Then the rest of the units you can play at level 6 could be Sentinels as your front line, like Aurelia, Singed, Leona, and Rel. This is actually pretty easy and straightforward to do. So it's just essentially all Sentinel with 2 artillers. And you can just pivot this into either playing Twitch or Corki, just depending what items you have. If you get a Camille drop and you want to play this route, which is, you know, Bloodthirster, whatever you have items on her, and like Sterax or even like Titans, these are good. If you want to play this direction, you can play with Step, Trundle, and backline DPS carry Powder, because you get a lot of synergies here. You get Scrap, you get Enforcer, you get Ambusher, which makes Camille do extra damage, and Powder, and you get Bruisers. This is an opener that I know most people don't do, but if you want to do this route, you can. It's probably stronger this way with Powder, because if you have a Spirit Soldier as well, and the AP items, you can do this as an opener, and then over time, you just throw in Enforcer units like Maddie or even Larice, but I don't feel like this is going to be too strong. But if Enforcer is really strong, then go for it. But for the most part, I would rather do more Bruisers like Nunu, and having this is more sustained, so you have frontline could last a little bit longer for Camille to carry everything. So I prefer it this way. It's up to you which one you want to do, more Enforcers or more Bruisers, and then you can just transfer these items to Vi later if you're playing Enforcer, or even in a best of direction. It's just depending what comp you're trying to play. Another opener, if you get a 3 cost drop, would be GP. If you get GP, you can literally play almost anything with it. You can even play like double Sentinel opener, so you can have like some sort of tank with GP. But if you want to play for synergies, you can throw in Trundle because it gives you Scrap, and then just throw in a +1 Bruiser like Stab, and you can throw in Vi because you get Pit Fighter with GP. So essentially, you could just play around like full Scrap if you want to later down the line, like Ziggs and either Powder, so you can have 4 Scrap. So you can either do full Scrap from this direction, or you could do like full Bruisers or whatever. If you find a Swain, that's a good plus because you also get Form Swapper, and Form Swapper will make GP a lot stronger. So it's up to you which direction you want to do. For his main items, it will mostly be a Spirit Soldier, Last Whisper, and IE. You can use him as an idle holder for like Corki or something, where you just go IE Last Whisper. But if you want to play him to like carry very hard, a Spirit Soldier and whatever is fine on him. And then your main tank could be either Stab or Trundle. It's up to you. Most of the time, it'll probably be Stab as the main tank because he's tankier than Trundle. So you just whatever tank items you have, like Warmongs or Bramble Declaw. And if for Trundle, his best items will be like Bloodthirster, like the melee carry items, if you want to put items on him. That's basically about it for the GP direction. And lastly, we're going to talk about one of the most powerful openers is if you get him as an orb drop because it's a 3 cost unit, is Kog'Maw. This unit is super strong because you also get Automata like instantly, since you can throw in a Mumu, and the Mumu is probably like one of the best tanks right now at the moment. And if for Kog'Maw items, you could build like full mage or full attack speed. Either one works. So items you could throw on him is like blue buff, and then death cap, and then whatever AP items you could put on him. Or you can do Spirit Soldier, or even double Spirit Soldier plus an AP item. Or you could even do Rage Blade, or even double Rage Blade on him. It doesn't really matter what items you put on him. Preferably, I would say Spirit Soldier because it's the easiest thing to build at the moment. If you can put blue buff on him, it'll be really good, and whatever AP items. And if for a Mumu, you just throw in whatever tank items. Sunfire is a good start for him because it's a good combat item for Mumu since he's super strong and tanky. And the rest of the units is pretty simple. It's just you throw in all Watchers and then snipers. So basically, it's a Mumu with having a Darius, and then you could throw in a Zeri or even a Maddie, either one, whatever sniper you have. Then over time, you just play his comp if you want to. So you can add on other Watchers like Scar if you can hit him. He'll become your main tank later. And then Vander as another Watcher. And you can transition into the Kog'Maw comp where you basically have Scar as the main tank with like stronger tank items than the Mumu. And then you use Zeri over Maddie. And then if you're level 7, you just throw in Echo. Pretty simple. It's really strong and easy. And switch out Darius for Garen later. And this is basically the comp. It's super easy to play this. Like all the synergies you get here is insane. Or you could pivot out into a different comp. It's up to you. It's just playing the Kog'Maw route is actually really easy doing this. And that is it for my set 13 openers. If you have any questions or if you don't understand something, I'll try to answer to the best of my capabilities in the comment section down below. Until then, I'll see you guys on the next one. Later.